Welcome to 30 Days of Persuasion Plays with me, Paul Macetta. Shirt's a little snug. Forgive me if I feel like I can't move a little bit. It feels like it's painted on, but it's a nice shirt. It's brand new. I like it. I'm committed to wearing it. By the way, if you are enjoying these videos, if you are learning something new from these videos, if you are maybe learning a different perspective on something you already knew from these videos, like the videos, share the videos, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so that number one, you get updates when I release new videos, and number two, so that you get updated when I release the Persuasion Playbook, which I'm aiming for 30 to 45 days from now, where you're not only going to get every single technique that I'm sharing in these videos, you're also going to get an additional 71 techniques. So you're going to get 101 ways to gain compliance from people. And here's the thing, the book is going to be ultra simple. I love simplicity. It's basically going to consist of three things. You're going to learn a lesson, you're going to learn an application, and then I'm going to give you an example of how to use the application or to apply the lesson. So, with that being said, let's get started. Today's episode covers the fact that as much as 55% of your message is communicated non-verbally. So if we go back to the Moravian research, that tells us that the majority of our message doesn't get communicated with our mouth or verbally when we speak to people or when we communicate with them. It gets communicated non-verbally. So what you do with your body, what you do with your gestures, how you communicate using non-verbal techniques is ultimately going to make or break your presentation, your communication strategy, your public speech, your pitch, whatever you want to call it. So what you want to do is use this to your advantage. So there are a couple of different ways to do that. So tip number one is to utilize matching and mirroring. I talk about this in a lot of other videos, classic NLP stuff here, really simple. If you're communicating with someone, so if I was sitting at one end of a table or a desk and there was somebody else sitting at the other end of a desk and we were communicating, I would be matching their gestures and body movements. So if the person was sitting with both hands down, I would have both of my hands down. If they had their right hand on their chin, I would put my left hand on my chin, because if the person was staring in a mirror, everything would be the exact opposite, right? So if I was looking in a mirror with my right hand up, I wouldn't see a reflection of my right hand. It would appear that my left hand would be up. So what you want to do is create an exact mirror version of that person. And what that's going to ultimately do is help you build kind of like subliminal rapport with them, where they'll begin to feel connected and comfortable around you, but they won't exactly know why. It's not like they'll be sitting there and consciously saying, wow, this person's mirroring and matching me, and that's why I feel comfortable around them. It doesn't work that way. There'll just be a subliminal trigger that gets activated where they feel comfortable around you. So make sure you use mirroring and matching to your advantage. Second thing is use open gestures. I do this all the time. In fact, I read a book called The Articulate Attorney. I would recommend it for anyone. And it's a book that basically teaches trial lawyers how to speak and how to use their body language when they are trying to win a case. And there's tons of research that support the fact that our message gets stronger when we combine gestures into the message, specifically open gestures. Now, me, being an Italian from New York, this is something that we're kind of born and bred to do since we're very young. We talk a lot with our hands. We use a lot of gestures by nature. But if you're not using them, if you're kind of talking to people like this with your hands in your pockets or your hands at your side, I can guarantee you that on a subconscious level, you're destroying the message to your audience. It's not being communicated as much as possible. So you want to use open gestures when you communicate with people. The next thing is you want to gesture from the power plane. So there are different planes in the human body, and the power plane is the one that goes from here right down to the top of your belly button. That's the area that you want to be gesturing from. When you go below the belly button, it's kind of like a danger zone. In some cases, it signals defensiveness or dishonesty. Like, for example, if you were to accuse someone of something and they were defending themselves, a lot of times people will gesture from below the belly button. So it's not something that you want to do. So you want to remember to use gestures, but you want to use them from this area right here. This is what we call the power plane. And then the last thing is congruency. You want to make sure that your verbal message and your gestures are congruent with one another. So you don't want to use gestures that are going to inhibit your message or block it in one way or another. And one of the classic examples of this is arm crossing. So communicating like this to somebody. Now, I get this all the time. I get people that say, I just cross my arms naturally. It's a habit. It's something I do. I just feel comfortable crossing my arms. And what I tell people is this. Yes, that may be the case. And you may feel that way. But I want you to think of a time when you are completely relaxed, completely at ease, completely comfortable. Think of a situation like that. It could be in a hot tub. It could be getting a massage. It could be it's a sexual interaction. Now ask yourself, in any one of those situations, do you ever have your arms crossed? No. And the reason why you don't is because regardless of how natural you think it is to you, it's not a natural thing to do when you are completely relaxed and at ease. And again, the other person will pick up on this subconsciously. Look at that. I didn't even button my shirt. So if you're doing that, regardless of how natural you may think it is to you, they're going to pick up on it subconsciously, and they're going to sense defensiveness. They're going to sense something that you don't want them to sense. So focus and get used to taking your hands from your sides, getting them out of your pocket, and getting them up here into the power plane and using gestures. So tip number 1, match and mirror. Number 2, use open gestures. Number 3, gesture from the power plane. And number 4, make sure that the verbal and the nonverbal message are congruent. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something from this video, be sure to like it, leave a comment, and subscribe.